Hello friends, you're on F1 News, and today we're going to discuss perhaps the hottest question in Formula One. Is Lewis Hamilton ready to leave Mercedes sooner than expected? What problems with the W15 car have been so frustrating for the seven-time champion, and what does Toto Wolff really think about Hamilton's possible departure? In this video, we will reveal all the details, from contract intrigues to Lewis's prospects at Ferrari. All this and much more. Stay tuned for the most important news. Lewis Hamilton has been linked to an early exit from Mercedes, with 3 races and 1 sprint event remaining. After the devastating race in which he won his first championship back in 2008, it seems that the 7-time world champion is fed up with how he's been treated at Mercedes and wants to leave the team early. However, the response from the Silver Arrows has been fierce, as they have not easily accepted the idea that he will depart. This raises another important question. How will things end between Hamilton and Mercedes, and more importantly, will they part on a sour note? It goes without saying that Hamilton experienced one of the most devastating races of his career in Brazil. While he scored just a single point on Sunday, it was far from what he had hoped for, especially considering the pace the car had shown throughout the weekend. Russell was leading the early part of the race before rain, safety cars, and red flags altered the outcome. The outcome of the race was already uncertain, and with Hamilton starting from P7, not much was expected of him as he battled with cars like the Haas of Magnussen and the AlphaTauri of Lawson. Speaking about the car, the 7-time world champion said, "With the car I have right now, it's the worst I've ever driven, so I probably won't be going very far with it. At least one of our cars was behaving. It's like a plank of wood. There's no suspension. It's just bouncing on the tires everywhere, can't get on the power anywhere. It's the worst ride we've ever had, particularly through corners, just so stiff." The team has tried to explain the poor performance of Lewis's car, as it's frustrating to have one car competing at the front for the race win while the other is at the back of the grid, fighting for minor points. This is definitely unacceptable. According to trackside engineer Andrew Shovlin, the team is working closely with Hamilton's side of the garage to understand the underlying issue that is causing these poor performances. However, Hamilton has dropped bombshells, especially after he drove the MP4/4 of Senna during a legendary demonstration lap in Interlagos. Hamilton said he would much rather drive that car than the one he's currently dealing with for the rest of the weekend. While this comment may seem disrespectful to the engineers who have been working hard at the factories, it reflects Hamilton's plain reality. Speaking about the differences between the cars, Shovlin explained, "Normally, you're able to understand the differences in the driver's setups. Driver setups refers to how teams allow drivers to adapt their cars to their preferences. You let the drivers deviate from a base setup. They don't have to run the same one, and we encourage them to evolve their own setup. When one of them seems to be going well, you often take elements of that setup, or sometimes even the whole thing, and apply it to the other car." The sprint race was a huge factor because, with less grip and the oversteer snaps on corner exits, you generate more tire temperature, which in turn prolongs the problem. Another factor during the weekend was the very different track conditions. While this wasn't the root cause of the issues, it certainly made it more difficult for Hamilton to find the setup he needed for the race. But what's even more concerning is that Hamilton has sent a cryptic message hinting at an early departure from Mercedes. In a post-race radio communication, the Brit stated that this might have been his last race driving for the team, which didn't end nearly as he had hoped. He made this statement during the debriefing in the cool-down lap after the race ended. Hamilton said, "That was a disaster of a weekend, guys. That's the worst the car has ever been, but thank you for continuing to try. Great job to all the guys at the pit stops. If this is the last time I get to perform, it's a shame that it wasn't great, but I'm grateful for you." There's no doubt that a statement like this has sparked a lot of controversy throughout the grid, especially as Hamilton also mentioned that the end with Mercedes and the W15 cannot come soon enough. hinting that he's fed up with driving a car that behaves differently week after week. However, Mercedes are a great team, and they understand the importance of having Hamilton on board for the final races of 2024, along with the commitments he has to fulfill before his anticipated departure to Ferrari. The team has confirmed that Hamilton will stay with them for the next 3 races, and there will be no changes to the lineup. The entire situation was also discussed by Johnny Herbert, the former steward in recent races, who is also a Sky F1 pundit. When discussing the balance of the car and how a driver like Hamilton is struggling to get a grasp of it, Johnny said, "Lewis Hamilton can't wait to get to Christmas. It's very confusing. There are times when he shows his real raw speed, and then it all vanishes. How and why does that happen? That's what I don't understand. The car is a bit up and down like a yo-yo anyway, and George is having similar issues." Johnny also added, "Lewis is coming to the end of his time at Mercedes, and George is the future. Antonelli is lined up for next season, so Mercedes will be favoring George, and a lot of the energy and input will be coming from him." Earlier, Mercedes blocked Hamilton's move to Ferrari after the Abu Dhabi finale and the Pirelli tire test, as they felt he had significant obligations to the employees at Brackley, as well as a lot of diplomatic work with Mercedes and its partners. This shows that the team didn't accept Hamilton's decision to leave early or activate a clause in his contract before even testing out the W15. Now, with Hamilton behind Russell in the Drivers' Championship after 2 wins in 2024, the situation seems more complicated than ever. It's safe to assume that the favoritism process at Mercedes has been ongoing for quite some time. To make matters worse, Toto Wolff has spoken about the contract Mercedes signed with Hamilton, specifically the 1+1 rule. He acknowledged that he knew all the good things would come to an end, including the departure of the 7-time world champion. Speaking in more detail about it, Toto said, "We're big boys. We knew that by signing a short-term contract, we would only lock Hamilton in for 2024 and leave the door open for him to leave in 2025, but we also knew it could be beneficial for both sides. We couldn't commit to a longer period, and he's taken the option to exit. We totally respect that. You can change your mind, there are different circumstances. Switching to Ferrari could be the last chapter of his career, maybe rolling the dice a little bit. I can understand that decision." However, Wolff admitted that he felt somewhat betrayed by Hamilton. At the same time Hamilton announced his departure, drivers like Lando Norris and Charles Leclerc had already signed contract extensions with their respective teams, leaving Mercedes with no other choice but to make a bold move and promote 19-year-old rookie Kimi Antonelli, who has yet to complete a full season in Formula 2. This move has been compared to Red Bull's decision to promote Max Verstappen directly from F3 to F1 years ago. As Toto has full trust that Kimi Antonelli is the next champion for Mercedes, it raises some questions about whether Russell can live up to the leadership role that the team expects him to take from 2025 onwards. On top of that, it seems that Wolff was aware of Hamilton's departure long before it was officially announced, as he was informed by the father of the driver Hamilton effectively replaced at Ferrari, Carlos Sainz Sr. Talking about it, Wolff said, "I heard the bells ringing 2 weeks before. Yeah, the old man Sainz called me and said, 'This is what's happening.' And then there were a few other drivers' dads who rang me up, who hadn't before, so I thought, okay, something's going on there. Then I sent a text to Fred saying, 'You're taking our driver.' I didn't get any response, which was very unusual for Fred. He's a good friend. So yeah, I saw it coming." Obviously, Hamilton is not proud to be driving the W15, especially after how the season has unfolded. Mercedes has found itself stuck in no man's land, firmly in 4th place in the Constructors' Championship, with no real aspirations to challenge for the top 3 positions, but also safe from falling to the back of the grid. However, with new regulations and rising hopes surrounding Antonelli, the team is now confident that the future is bright, especially once the new regulations come into play from 2026 onwards. Whether or not Hamilton made a mistake by moving to Ferrari is something time will tell. But as of now, it seems like he knew exactly how this season would unfold, which has likely been a big factor in why he was treated the way he was in races like Canada and Spa. The silence on the radio in Canada was deafening, where the team's tactics were extremely poor. Meanwhile, in Spa, the team realized that they had messed up by going with both drivers on a one-stop strategy, which ultimately allowed Russell to risk it and gave Hamilton the win. This was clearly visible on Wolff's face. With all this in mind, do you think Hamilton should leave Mercedes earlier? And if so, do you think Mercedes is doing the right thing by keeping him until the last day of his contract clause? Let us know in the comments below. And if you're interested in the latest drama surrounding Lawrence Stroll and Aston Martin, make sure to click on the video that's appearing on your screen now. Thanks for watching. We are very much looking forward to your comments. If you like this video, please like and subscribe to the channel to not miss the latest news and analysis from the world of Formula One. See you in the next video.